Hi everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk About. In this episode, I'm talking to Naomi Berg. She's the founder of Purple Skirt. She's a PT and a wellness coach and the mum of two beautiful little girls, and she runs wellness retreats and workshops, and she's studying at the moment a course called Emotional Anatomy, which is really, really interesting. So we talk a lot about the connection between health, well-being, exercise, food, nutrition, and emotion. I think it's a really interesting chat. We had a really good day. And what you'll find is towards the end of the interview, my laptop actually ran out of disk space, and I really apologise. We had to cut off the conversation quite suddenly because it wasn't recording anymore, and we finished it just here in front of my main computer. So I really hope you enjoy it anyway. Welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk About. I'm Michelle Caterson and this is Naomi Berg, and this week we're going to have a bit of a chat just about you, Naomi, and where you've come from, what you've done in changing the way you're perceived from PT to wellness coach.
Yes.
A bit of a chat about nutrition, all that sort of stuff. So that's what we're going to chat about this week. So just to give you a bit of a heads up about Naomi founded Purple Skirt. She's a PT and wellness coach, mum of two beautiful little girls. Yes. So Naomi also facilitates wellness retreats and workshops. And she's just got this amazing amount of knowledge about health, wellness, nutrition, exercise, and the links to emotional well-being as well as physical well-being, which I think is really, really important, that sometimes gets missed in traditional PT-style training sessions. So Naomi, thank you so much for coming this week.
Thank you. I'm very, very excited and humbled to be here.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Me too. I'm glad you could come all the way out here.
Oh, it's been beautiful. I love a good journey, and this has been a nice little start to the day.
Yeah, awesome. So, Naomi, you just heard the bit of a short rundown, bit of a bio that I gave. Can you just fill in a little bit of the gaps of what got you into PT? How did that transition from PT to wellness coach? The sort of trying out the wellness retreats, what you've been doing in workshops, just a bit of info about you.
Yes, well, to allow the gaps to be filled, I have to go back as far as high school because that's really where it started for me. I was bullied a lot in primary school and high school, and so my outlet, my escape was sport, in particular swimming. So I was competing at state and had the potential to go to national level, and finished school and went, okay, well, I'm into sport. Let's just follow that a little further. And I went and did my exercise science degree. And this was late 90s, early 2000s. And I graduated, and a lot of my fellow students went on to medicine or physiotherapy or even nutrition and dietetics. And I was fortunate now, to start work very early as a personal trainer, when personal training was really for the well-to-do or the well-famed. It wasn't really something that everybody was taking up, and it certainly wasn't on every corner that it is now. So we were really at the pioneer stage of who even comes to personal training and why would you come to personal training. So in that time, I was really learning why I wanted to work with the body, but how it might be perceived in the outside world. And, I was 19, 20. I really was looking at wellness very differently to how I look at it now. Calorie counting, diet restrictions, training twice a day, 6 times a week. I did all of that. I succumbed to what I believed the body could do and pushed it right out to its edge. And my body personally failed me at a time when I really thought it wasn't going to. Yeah. And that's what really significantly shifted my frame of personal training versus looking after this body we've been given and really connecting the mind and body. Yeah. So there's a whole lot of chapters in there, but it's growing with me. So, from a 19-year-old who was training up to 50 sessions a week, 50 different clients a week, and whether you were mad, bad, sad, or glad, you were getting the program I'd written for you because it took me an hour to prepare. So here's me with my clipboard and my pretty program and my highlighted stick figures of how to do the exercise. But somewhere in there I missed, how are you? And what is actually going to bring you more joy? Yeah. And if movement could help you to release something to have more joy, or it could start you on a journey of more joy, what would that look like? Now, no one taught me that. I had to get to a place of questioning my own reasons for moving because I realized it had come from punishment and unresolved anger and wounds and fear from right back in my bullying days. So where was the crossover? It's still happening now. And it's much more acceptable now to have a personal trainer. I hope that within a few more years it's much more acceptable to be doing your own intuitive healing, and movement might just be a part of that.
Yeah. I think there's a big gap for that at the moment. I know I've been on my own journey. Shannon, Naomi's husband, actually was training us for quite a long time there. He was coming here once a week, and he was introducing us to that. And when we first started training, I was one of those grinders.
Yes.
Get in there. You tell me to do 50 push-ups, I'll do 50 push-ups. It does not matter if I'm feeling sick, if I'm feeling tired, if I'm feeling fantastic, I will just do, and it was that training of how I did my life. And after spending all that time with Shannon going, listen to your body, feel your body, understand your body, it's been a real journey to find a connection. And it's like I felt like I'm trying to come into a relationship with someone that I didn't know.
Absolutely.
And can you imagine living in a body for 40 years and not know it? It's absolutely crazy.
Yes.
And that's I think that's a lot of people's reality.
I think it would be the general population's reality if we were able to sit down and have honest conversations. When was the last time we were generous with ourselves, with self-care? When was the last time you said no because that is actually what you wanted to say, rather than going through the obligations of things, and, I've had people say to me, well, how does getting in touch with your own set of personal values or being in tune with your purpose in life have anything to do with exercise? And I say, well, it has everything to do with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Yeah, it's I think that's actually a really, really important point, is that being in touch with your values and who you are as a person is so important in exercise, to understand why you're doing and what you're doing and how you do it and everything, and just being really, really authentic to yourself, to make sure that your exercise is adding to your life, not taking away from it.
Yeah.
Because it really can. Exercise is absolutely fantastic, and as great as it can be, really can take away from your life if you don't do it the right way.
Yes, absolutely. And it can be a tool of punishment if it is not done with love and clear intention. Yeah. And I have been on both sides. I have whittled my body down to single-digit % body fat. I've stood on stage. I've done the 16-week virtually nothing calorie-restricted diets, and from the outward perceived to be very lean, very muscular, a picture of health. But the internals weren't working, and they were so damaged by that it took several years to come to a time in my life where I could even be happy with what I was seeing when I was looking in the mirror. So back in 96 when I started exercise prescription and exercise science, and still very much now, the body in that health industry can really be seen as a machine, how do we fix the machine? I'm starting to really come at it now in my work is, what is the communication between the mind and the body, and that healing of the communication is where change can happen from. Nothing needs to be fixed. We can just allow more space, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely does. Yeah.
It's taken a while. You know, I sat down and I worked it out the other day. It's been 16 years working as a trainer and just over 7 months of calling myself a wellness coach, you know. So there's it's like taking off a well-worn uniform and finding something that is more suitable to where I'm at now.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. And like, so when you started Purple Skirt, was that time of like, okay, it's almost like a rebranding of your personality and identity in the business world?
100%. And it was not without trepidation. I mean, there's a real safety for me staying under the banner of personal trainer. I've done it. I've done close to 17,000 individual sessions over the course of my career. You know, I've lectured in Certificate 3 and 4 in fitness. It's an easy paradigm for me to stay in. Yeah. This new area, there's a little less rules, and that can be really good and also really confronting as well. Yeah.
So what do you think, from your perspective and your clients that you deal with every day, what do you think the biggest health problem is that those people are facing today, right now?
Okay. Ooh, all right. Good question. So I work exclusively with women. It hasn't always been that way, but I particularly now understand that that's where my passion is. And women, if you said to me what is their greatest challenge, it's giving themselves the opportunity to truly ask for what they want, to get really clear on what it is they want for themselves and this life. And if they are willing to speak it out loud, to own that, how do then they go about making that their life's journey? Yeah. So in terms of wellness, speaking their truth and clearly articulating what they want for themselves will start this vibration of, okay, well, if I'm not there yet, what needs to shift, move, be released or gained to make that happen? Now, every women's version of what they want is different, and myself included, I had to understand and come to a place of understanding that what I thought I wanted was some of society's expectations, some of my family's expectations, some of my perceived life satisfaction, and then I got them and I was like, all right, that's not it. So a lot of what I'm doing with women is unlearning what they thought it was they wanted, and getting more real, authentic with themselves. And the body will move and shift in line with how congruent we are with our deepest desire.
And that can be a really hard thing to find in yourself. It can feel really confusing, especially when you've got all the family expectations, society expectations all folded over in front. It's like covering your eyes, and it's like you can't see what the real picture is for you personally until you get all that shit out of the way, and then all of a sudden, and in that, like, just as you were explaining that and how that brings you to a path of wellness, to me, my understanding of the opposite of that is that by not doing that, you're suppressing emotions, and those emotions are being suppressed in your body, that you're dissatisfied and you're resentful and you're angry and you're frustrated, and all that causes illness or dis-ease.
Massively.
You know? And I know you've just been on a big learning path with that. You're doing a course at the moment called
Emotional Anatomy.
Yes, and how that all happens. And so just so like, so that our viewers and our listeners understand that difference between, well, this is what happens if you step into your authenticity and grow, and this path of wellness, and this is the cost of if you don't, you know, because if you don't, it's not just you've chosen not to. If you don't, you've chosen a path of disease and illness, you know, and by not choosing, you actually choose, and that's something that can be quite confronting.
Very.
You know, really confronting that. It's like, oh my God, I can't just sit in this world of comfort because I'm going to get sick. and that's not okay.
So you've just explained essentially what I work on every day.
Yeah.
And do I have it in perfect order in my world? No, because as you said, I'm continually learning, and I've had a dialogue with the physical body that has come from a purely science background. I loved the mechanics. I loved this bone to this joint to this muscle to this hinge. I can show you the perfect technique for a great squat. I can show you how to move through a really controlled plank. There's delight in me in seeing, the mechanics of that. Now it's like learning another language. Now I'm overlaying that with, the Spanish phrases of, well, what are you shouldering responsibility with? What is your back saying about the level of support that you're currently getting or not getting in your world? What are your knees saying about your willingness to move forward and to make progress? So there's an energetic conversation at every juncture in our body. And it's like, for me, literally I'm walking into a candy store, and yes, I've seen this outline many, many times, but now I'm seeing it with different dimension, and that's really exciting for me. Confronting, because what I'm understanding even for myself at the deepest level now is we matter. What we think about shows up in our matter, in our physical form, and there literally is nowhere to hide. So, the beautiful clothes and the wonderful makeup and the cars and the title at the end of your name is wonderful, but the body is actually going to tell me everything I need to know, and it's going to tell me how much you love yourself, how much you value yourself, how much worth you see in yourself. Are you worthy of holding your spirit and your most, your greatest desires in a vehicle that works for you? And all of that is now going to come to the surface when you sit with me. So there's people, and rightfully so, they get nervous when they sit with me for the first time, because I'm going to check in. And when they give me an answer, I'm also going to check in with what their body says as well. Yeah.
Oh, I know that feeling. Because your husband used to do it to me. I would say one thing, and he just, he would just say one thing back, and then next second I'd be like, oh. Yeah.
And, the interesting and the crazy, amazing thing for me at the moment is it's even down to our tonality in our voice. It's the vibration we give to certain words. It's certain words we may have in our vocabulary that are actually keeping us stuck and stagnant in belief patterns. So, we rock up to a doctor's office, or we rock up to the physiotherapist, or we turn up for our monthly chiropractic, and we go, well, can you just fix this because, I've had a really busy couple of days. No, those busy couple of days are a symptom of what you've been carrying in your body for a long time. Yeah.
I know, like even this morning I woke up with just the tiniest little sore throat, and I always journal every morning, in my spot in the sun out there, and I sat down and I was like, all right, what am I not saying? What am I not saying? It's, it's something, and I don't know what it is, and that's okay. And I actually sat and wrote in my journal, okay, like the learning I need right now is self-compassion, and, I have to accept that I'm stepping more into my authenticity, and I'm learning how to speak my truth more, and that somewhere I feel like there's something happening right now, and I've got a lot going on right now, so it's a little bit hard to pinpoint exactly where it is. And I know if I delve into it, I'll find it, but it's exactly that, like not feeling my throat going, geez, that's really weird, I'm getting sick. It's feeling my throat going, actually, that's letting me know that I'm not talking something of my truth somewhere.
Yeah. Isn't that the most powerful and yet nowhere to hide concept? Imagine if at school we were not only taught, how to add and the ABCs, but to understand that there's going to be certain triggers in our body that mean we're not speaking our truth, we're not feeling supported, we're not being confident.
We're shouldering too much responsibility.
Yes. Do you know that? So, yes, I'm currently studying emotional anatomy, and it's literally blowing my mind. Yeah. And, excuse me, I'm speaking a lot of my truth these days too. But the facilitator mentioned that the most prescribed medication in the world at the moment is a thyroid medication. So if you imagine that our entire population is battling with speaking our truth.
Yeah.
And what if we looked at healing at that level as well. And I'm not anti-medicine. I think there's some incredible work that needs to be done when you're on that edge.
Yeah.
But I wonder how quickly we go that path rather than the path of what's the truth I need to speak.
Yeah. And maybe preventing having to have the medicine in the first place.
Yes.
Because, if you're listening to the feathers, you don't end up needing the medicine.
No. No.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so I did want to just ask, because I do love all the emotional connections and body connections. It's really cool. But you did do a juice cleanse a little while ago. And I do recall, even because I would talk to Shannon about it, and, I haven't had juice it for a while. And I talked to Shannon about juicing and juice cleansing, and he had a very, what I would call, typical PT response.
Go on, give it to me. I'm curious. Give me the typical PT response.
Typical PT response: you can't drink juice and exercise. You can't drink juice and expect to get well. It's a bit of a fad. People won't get better doing that. Along those general lines, pretty much, juice cleansing's a load of shit, don't do it.
Yes.
That sort of general, and he didn't say it like that.
No.
It's much nicer.
Well, my husband is not, he delivers things quite directly at times. I wouldn't be surprised if he said it like that. Yeah.
That was generally the energetic feeling I got.
Yes.
So I was very surprised when he came and said that you were both doing 21-day juice cleanse, and I know because Pete was just talking to him yesterday and said, he's still raving about the effect that had on him. Can you explain to me what changed your mind to give it a go?
The really easy answer to that is everything that I would normally go to, I'd exhausted, and I hadn't been able to get the connection with my body that I was after. And I think, like many people must get to at a point where they've tried everything they thought was going to work or that they had access to, it's like, okay, what else? What else is there? So for me, yes, I came from a breakfast is the most important meal. You eat like kings in the morning and then finish like paupers by the end of the night. And we were told about calorie intake in the morning and all of the different things that I went through with university. So cleansing or even intermittent fasting was like, that wasn't even a term when I was going through university, not that I was aware of anyway. Yeah. So, for me, and I've got to fast forward you through some fairly significant health concerns of my own. So, in 2011, I wanted to start a family, and it didn't happen as easy as wanting a family, and there was my family. And I went through several lost pregnancies and a lot of trauma around that. And I went purely down a help me from a medicinal point of view to conceive and to carry, and I did, and I'm very grateful for that experience, but I flooded my body with the artificial ability to hold a baby to term, and I wondered what long-term impact that was having on my body. And so 2016 I went through another severe back and kidney episode. So that was my Mack truck, and mine essentially means I go and I go and I go and I go and I go until I can't go, and then I fall. And I knew that falling this time in 2016 had a lot to do with some emotional and some relationship stuff that was happening for me, and I could feel it in my body, and my usual method of training it out, it wasn't working. Yeah. So I was going to continue with the pain, or I was going to seek a different way. And so I went, okay. I had at that point in time started going very raw in my food anyway. And I thought, well, this might be the next step. And it was huge for me, the 21 days. And I don't know how graphic you want in terms of your sharing.
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
But I know over that 21 days, I purged from my body some of the matter that I had held from the previous pregnancies. So I'll let other people do their maths on how much I had held on to from those losses. It still gets me. So how do I put that into a way that would even make sense to anyone else? I know that my body needed to have permission to let go.
Yeah.
And the easiest way it did that was to create an environment for my body where it didn't have to think about anything else. It was not thinking about digestion, so that the energy that was usually given to that was being given to going inward and healing. And what I was not ready for was all of the emotional healing that would come with being so disciplined in the area of cleansing.
Do you ever have any of your clients ask for, or do you ever recommend to them to do a cleanse?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Most people, if they haven't already done a cleanse either at the same time as me or had a chat with me about it, it's something that I will raise. And it's not necessarily part of my first meet and greet with you. Because I think cleansing in itself is very confronting, and it's worked for me. So, you were saying right at the start about this wellness industry and what is being imposed upon people. So mine is never to impose. Mine is simply to lead by example. So it's worked for me. I can invite you to the table, but it's not make or break whether you decide to do it. And, there's going to be opportunities when I work with any woman where they're going to get to a point where they feel stuck. Otherwise, they wouldn't be working with me. I mean, it's all about getting to the edge of your comfort zone and then seeing what's on the other side. So if there's a pattern or a loop that keeps coming up in their body via injury or stiffness or even rigidity, that inflexible feeling about not being able to move a certain way, but also not being able to move into something you want more in your life, well, then there's got to be something we get rid of to make that room. So I think it's finding the opportune times to raise the idea of cleansing, and not just juice cleansing, but cleansing of things that aren't working for them anymore. Yeah. Whether that's relationships or conversations or beliefs or values or pairs of shoes. If you're still running in your trainers and they're more than 12 months old, can you please ditch them? Do a cleanse. All right? Yes. It's my non-negotiable. I think of our footwear, particularly if you're doing some high-intensity training, as one of your best pieces of equipment. So there you go.
Absolutely.
Handy tip for the day.
Thank you. And you are thinking about running a group cleanse soon?
Yes. Yeah. So this will be my second one that I'm going to do through Purple Skirt. So the first one was very indulgent. I wanted to do a little mini cleanse myself, and so I thought I would invite my Purple Skirt community in, and it was beautiful. I had members of the Purple Skirt community that had never done cleansing before and were so taken by the ease of which it just shows up through Juice It. So I know that they'll be jumping back on board again as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And we did a bit of a chat, didn't we? We had a bit of like an online chat.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that. So we'll have to do that again this time.
Yes. So I'm going to coordinate dates with you to release that, but it will definitely be before the end of October.
Awesome.
With Purple Skirt. So yes.
Well, I'll put links in the show notes as well for this, and any links to where they can jump on board.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the most important thing, whether you're part of the Purple Skirt community or you want to jump on to get involved in this cleanse, is that, yes, it's a very personal journey. It was for me, but doing it at the same time as others can be incredible. My husband didn't do his 21 days at the same time as me. I'm so glad he didn't, because two of us on juice cleanse in the house could have been interesting at the same time. But what he was there for, and what I was also there for him in his time, is that somebody else is bearing witness to you going through this, and the online community can be incredible. And I know that we'll have a couple of opportunities to jump online and ask questions or share what's happening. And you do amazing work at keeping people up to date with what to expect as they go through a cleanse. That support is so, I think, critical.
Absolutely.
Because, we'll all have our own unique experience of a cleanse, but there's some commonalities. And when you can share those commonalities, gives you, or gave me even more reason to stay on track with it.
Yeah. And I think if you know that what you're experiencing is normal and other people are experiencing it. Like it, just normalizes the experience that you're going through so that then you can actually feel deeper into it.
Yes.
Rather than being worried about the external feeling of like, is this normal? Am I meant to feel this?
Yeah.
Because it's quite foreign. And if you've never done it before, some of the feelings can be very foreign. And they're not all bad.
No.
Some of them can be really good.
Like
some of the feelings of euphoria and energy and, the feeling of waking up. For me, this was one that really blew my mind. Like it was about day 4. I woke up and I was like, I just want to jump out of bed. I just want to do this. I just want to, and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm like buzzing on something.
Oh,
and
totally good. The one that really blew me away was my sense of smell. And I'm getting goosebumps as I think about that. My smell sensation went through the roof and the taste of food changed. And, as kooky as this might sound, I feel like the colours, like I was able to perceive colour better. It was just like this sensory tune up of my filters, and it was incredible. And the clarity and the focus. Now, does that mean that I was having smooth days every day? No, but things were tasting great. And I could smell really good. So
one of the things I noted that we were going to talk about, and the reason that I have put this as a question that I wanted to ask is because I think that there's a lot of people out there that do suffer from this as a particular thing, and it's imposter syndrome. It's that feeling of like, who do you think you are? Do you really think that you are the best person for this? And I know I've done it where I've been like, who am I to run a juice business, for God's sakes? Like, people out there that know stuff do that, not people like me that know absolutely nothing about manufacturing. So for a long time, I really, really was like playing small on myself, like talking my business down because I felt like an imposter. And that's something I think that there's a lot of people who go through that out there. And I remember I was having this meeting with a lady who she owns this amazing multi-million-dollar manufacturing business, and we're having this conversation. We're having coffee on a Saturday morning, and I deliberately sought her out because I wanted her advice. I wanted some knowledge from her. And the thing that she said to me was, stop playing small. Stand up. You have created this business. You are the owner of this manufacturing business, and it doesn't matter if it's tiny. You have done something big. Stand up. And I was like, so for you, have you ever experienced that? And if you have, what did that look like?
Yes, a lot. I've experienced it in many shades and many colours. I think back to the 19, 20-year-old me who would show up with a painted smile and would put on this brave, happy face, and you would have no idea what was transpiring behind the scenes, and back then I was studying my master's in counselling. I was learning about, the boundaries and be careful of transference and keep it here so that your personal world doesn't come in, and I really call bullshit on that, because our greatest potential as a community is our power of connection. So in me keeping everything that was happening for me behind this massive wall, you got a version of me, and it was the version I thought was going to make me successful or a good trainer or have more clients. And I've learned, I've even had feedback from clients, when I would dare to let a snippet out of some real stuff that was happening for me, and they'd go, oh, thank God. All right, I thought you were this enigma where all your stuff was together. And, I even had a client at one point say to me, oh my God, and she goes, look, I don't mean to sound like this. She said, but thank God you've got shit going down. She said, because I was, and this is what she'd say to me, she said, I was getting to a point where I was editing what was actually happening for me because I didn't feel I could come to you with stuff because you seemed to have it all together.
Yeah.
So the imposter was there, and she that's something, one of my new words that I love, in fact, it's not that new, I've sat with it for a little while, is this sense of vulnerability. And it scares the shit out of me that every time I dare to do that, I have greater connections with people. And often my business reflects my ability. So is my level of vulnerability going to be for everyone? No. But the level of vulnerability I play at is in direct proportion to the relationships I'm building, and that grows me. So, I think there's a little imposter in all of us, and sometimes that's needed to get things done. But I think the real reward is when I can be warts and all, and I can say, you know what, there's periods of time where I sit with a great piece of pizza and a cider, and I don't count calories, and that's not going to be for everyone, and that's not going to be everybody's definition of fitness and wellness. But I would rather you know that about me than me post pictures of all the great raw food I eat, because I do, and I love that my 3-year-old will sit and consume hummus and raw broccoli and all of that. But holy hell, she likes a good lollipop too, So I would rather tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if there's a trigger in you about that, then I go, okay, well, this is me. Yeah. So in answer to your question, yes, I have played the imposter. Yes, there's confrontation inside of me that happens when I allow people to see that things are still falling where they need to fall in my world. But I'm appreciating the relationships I have more and more because of that than the ones I had when it was a painted smile.
I'm a little bit over the 5 steps too. It feels a bit like, really, there's heaps of shit out there that says 5 steps to, and it really, if that was actually going to work for people, then you wouldn't, everyone can read a 5-step how to do something and go, we are going to be on our way to, a better life or better health or better well-being. But if there's actually 5 things that you think really come from inside, not a going to do thing, get up in the morning and dry brush and go for a walk and meditate, and they're all to-dos. How do you internally change so that those things start to just happen? What would you
the big questions on a Wednesday. Okay, so I want to make sure I've really heard the question that you would like answered this morning. So rather than an action step, like an external action, the question is what can be done internally to ignite that fire? Yeah. Have I heard it correctly?
Yeah, I was a bit clumsy in the...
No, it's a great question, and it is a tricky one to answer. I think as physical, look, I believe, it's my belief that we're spirits having a physical experience, okay? So because we're having a physical experience, often the ability to get going, the momentum needs to start with something physical that we can hold on to, whether that's getting up half an hour earlier or meditating or dry brushing. What's the internal, tick over, the ignition? For me, it was allowing myself to ask for what I want. Now, that might seem a bit vague. Okay, so I got to 40 this year and I'm finally starting to ask for some things that I want in my body, in my relationship, in my business, in my communications with other people. It can be all internal. It can be that simple thing. Now, for me, I do have a physical action step, and I'll share it with you because it's the internal. So I started this process actually around about the time I did the 21-day cleanse, and it stayed with me. So what I do in the morning, the very first thing I do is I sit up and I put my feet out and I put my feet down on the ground beside the bed, and I just ask myself a question: what is it today? And I allow the first 3 words to come up about what I want for myself today. What is my intention for today? So Not how many people I'm going to talk to, not how many sessions I'm doing, just what is it today? And so today it was open, honest, joyful. Okay, so, and it'll change every day. And, and you know, when I first started it, it was sort of the same 3 words that would come. And then as I was doing it more and more, I'd sort of try and force where the word would come from, and a word would come up. I'm like, nah, I don't want that one. But now I've come to accept that being asked, what do we want? What do we really want? Is not something we're in the practice of doing. So, you know, the 5-step action plan will only work if you've answered the, what is it I want?
Yeah.
I want to stay in bed. Okay. What's the 5-step plan for that? Cancel everything. So I'm not sure if that's supportive for you. It's certainly supportive for me as I'm hearing it, because I realize now that that's an autopilot action for me, but it took time. Yeah. And it takes less than 10 seconds. Yeah. But it is my way of igniting my internal direction for the day. So then it's not, well, how many clients did I see? How many social media interactions did I have? My end of the day process, which is a gratitude practice I do for myself, is okay, so where was I joyful? Where was I open? Where was I honest? And then I just honor the 3 words that came up.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That is really awesome. And I think that asking for support thing and asking for what you want is so big. And it's something that I had to learn. Like, you know, if someone had said to me, probably even 12 months ago, what do you really want? I would have just struggled to answer that. I really would have. I would have been like, oh, you know, to be happy. Like, geez, I don't know. I don't know, a new car. You know, like really just broad stroke, no detail, not really connected, you know, whereas now I can get so much more detailed, you know, of what I actually want. Yeah. You know, and
it's
now.
A great question.
Yeah,
kids do this really well. I was reminded, the facilitator in this emotional anatomy work I'm doing, reminded us all, because again, it comes down to, well, what do you want? Because your body is going to reflect how much you're actually listening to your internal desires. And he said, you know, there's an ad that's been going around for a little while. I think it's one of the bigger bank ads. And it's an interviewer going, well, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And it starts with little kids. And they're like, this, I want this, I want this, I want that, I want the new bike, I want this. They're very detailed. They know exactly what they want. And then it pans to the adults and they're like, I don't know. Yeah. So somewhere along the lines, we shut down our internal dialogue of just expressing what it is we want. We might play safe, or we play what we think we want. And then so it's like you said, it's just starting to allow that conversation. Yeah. And it's funny actually how similar, like I journal every morning and how similar that is to your process, because I set my intention for the day, like what it is that I want to achieve for that day. And it's generally a 1 word or a 2 word. Like it's very, you know, I want to have a day where, like today is about self-compassion, you know, where I was like, that's what today is, you know, and it changes all the time. Yeah. And, you know, and so that's just there in the back of my mind. You know, it's kind of just sits there during the day that anytime I do something, it's like, no, am I having compassion for myself as I'm doing that, you know? And so it's there. And then by the end of my journal, I only ever do 1 A4 page of writing. And it gets really random, gets all over the place. But generally it ends with what I'm most grateful for, you know, and what and it's some days it's just like I've looked up and seen that there's a rosebud on the rose bush. It's like, I'm really grateful that I get to sit on a veranda with the sun on me and I can see a rosebud blooming, and that's the most grateful thing, you know. And I think that's a really important thing internally, to really get in touch with what you want, why you want it, where you're going, how you're getting there, is that intention and what you want. Yeah. I used to intellectually understand the idea of being thankful. It's only been in the last couple of years I've understood or felt what it's like to embody gratefulness, you know, what it actually is to be in the present moment, like you said, dialed in to the tiny details that bring joy. And that's been huge.
Yeah, it's massive in that.
Don't you love, you're like, okay, what does that have to do with juicing and exercise and wellness? Everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I reckon one of the things, and I did this yesterday when I was sitting and I was writing, and sometimes I sit there for a while going, what am I going to write about today? I don't know what I'm going to write about today. And I looked up, and one of my favourite trees in the whole world is a jacaranda tree. And right when I was really little,
Same.
I always wanted to live in a house that had a jacaranda tree. And the house I bought in Gladstone, I went out, I bought a jacaranda tree and I planted it, and it got to just flowering stage, and we had to rip it out and put some. And so and I don't go there anymore. So my house with my jacaranda tree was gone. So we have had to stop and reset the video. So now we are in a different location because my laptop has run out of disk space. So we've decided to use a different computer, different location. So we have moved, and we've even stopped and had some lunch and had a good gas bag.
Yes. Nothing like a different perspective.
Yeah, no, it's been really good. But what we were actually up to before my computer decided to stop was that we were about to wrap up.
Yes.
And I was about to say, no, thank you so much for coming and really sharing, quite deeply you, where you're at, where you've come from, what you're doing, why you're doing it. I think it's quite an amazing journey, and as much as we haven't had a very haven't connected often over the last few years, we've had a couple of little sort of, but we are getting to know each other a lot better. And today has been really, really amazing for that as well. And I'm sure we will get a lot more connected over the coming months and years as well.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you so much for coming down and spending this time down here with me. It's been awesome.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I am humbled to have been invited into your space. Thank you.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much, and we will be talking again very soon. Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you so much for listening to the interview with Naomi, and I just wanted to touch base about what's coming up. So next week I am going to be doing just a live info session, just me by myself, having a chat about group cleansing and what to do if you're about to go into a cleanse. And it's going to be similar to what I'm going to talk with Naomi, because as you would have heard in the video, Naomi and I discussed that there's a group cleanse coming up that she is going to be running with her Purple Skirt community end of October. And we're going to have a live Q&A session. But I just want to really touch base on some of those really common questions that a lot of people ask. So I'm going to do that next week. Following week, we're actually talking to Michaela from Wholeheartedly, and we're going to have a very deep conversation about living, love, life, loss, and what that all looks like. From a perspective of giving yourself permission to feel joy. So I look forward to seeing you in the next couple of episodes. Thank you so much for listening. Any questions, get in contact with me, info@juiceit.com.au, 1300 Juiceit, or go onto the website, subscribe so you can get these videos, and also you can it's another way you can contact us on any of our socials. So we're at Juiceit on all of our socials. Thanks for that. Bye now.